By this point, we've made great progress on developing our metaverse. We've already created a metaverse, we've created NFTs, we've been using blockchain, all of this we've covered. In the metaverse, we know that there's going to be new technologies. One of the technologies that's actually very active in the metaverse is virtual reality, or if you wear a headset to actually be in a VR environment. We're going to be covering that right now because you may actually want to apply VR to your metaverse. In this lesson, we're going to go over a very easy way where you can actually make the connection from our metaverse to virtual reality. So we can actually use a virtual reality headset in our metaverse and actually look at our metaverse using virtual reality. Okay. So if we look at the documentation from Three.js, and I've provided for you the link in the resources tab, inside that documentation, you will find that we can import a VR button, which will actually let us connect to the headset. And we've actually provided for you the source to that specific vrbutton.js. We've added that file, vrbutton.js, inside the source folder. So we'll make it easy for you. It's available in the resources for this class, but also in the GitHub for this course, so you can always have it available, okay? So all we need to do is, here's the button, vrbutton.js, which will let us connect to the virtual reality headset. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is we're simply going to put in motion this connection between the virtual reality button and our metaverse. So if we go to index.js, we will then add this in here to connect to virtual reality. Okay? To do that, let's go back to the documentation. We're going to see an earlier step. Some of us may not have headset, so it's okay. We just want to make sure they're there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import a emulator for web, and we're going to add it to our Chrome browser. This is why Chrome is so important, because we're going to be able to emulate web virtual reality by having it on our browser. So this will enable us to simulate having virtual reality headsets, but it's actually going to be from our browser. And if you can see up on the top right, you'll see that we have an extension in our Chrome browser that lets us emulate a virtual reality, okay? This virtual reality will actually adapt to the browser, which in this case, we're using Google Chrome, okay? So if you see, what we're going to do is we're going to add this emulator, which is going to let us simulate virtual reality so we can see how the metaverse looks. Once we've done that, let's program this inside so we can actually see the virtual reality environment in our metaverse, assuming we have the virtual reality glasses on. So we go back to the documentation and we copy this source code right here, this line. We go back to our files. We go to index.js and we're going to paste it inside so we can import it into index.js. But notice, our vrbutton.js is actually inside the src folder, not in the one that this line says. So we have to modify this. We go // because we're in the same directory. Okay, so what else do we need to change? If we go to the documentation, we need to create a button. That button will let us make the connection from the metaverse to the virtual reality space. So the way that we're going to do this is we're actually going to use our renderer, and we're going to copy this line here to create the button. And we're going to go to right below the renderer, and we're just going to paste it underneath. There we go. Now, we need to also, well, we have created the button with the renderer, but we need to activate it. And the way we're going to do that is actually using this line of code right here, which is going to tell the renderer to enable the virtual reality. Okay, so we copy it, we go to the renderer, we're going to put it in, and here we set it as true. That's going to activate the virtual reality rendering. Okay, so in context, this should work well, but we need to make some changes right now to be able to adapt our source code to function within this virtual reality space. It's actually very simple to do. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go up to line 60, and we're going to take this line that says function animate, and we're going to replace animate with render. Okay, so now we still need that animate. So let's add the animate function. So what we need to do is we need to put back that function animate. So we create an animate function, function animate, and as part of that, we need to include renderer.set animation loop, and we're going to pass the render, which is this function that we have right here. Okay, so we're setting an animation loop using the renderer. We hit save, and now we've put everything we need into our source code. This is essential so that we can actually go directly into the virtual reality space. We need to render this space, and we've actually included it. by this point, we've made all the changes we need, so we don't have to change anything else. Everything, we're gonna leave it exactly the way we've got it right now. So let's go to our metaverse. So notice that we have it on port 5500, and we're gonna pop open our browser to take a look at our browser. So if we go to our metaverse, we're gonna pop it open, and if we notice when we're moving it around, you're gonna notice that our NFT is right here. And we're gonna see a little button on the bottom. That little button which says enter virtual reality. So we're gonna go inside the virtual reality. Let's first look at the console log to see what we've got here. And if we pop it open, if we look at the console, what we find is that there is going to be a little window on the top right that you could pop open, and there's an option that says WebXR. That actually makes reference to that extension that we added to our browser, but we're gonna be experiencing the metaverse in a totally different environment. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go in as virtual reality. So let's take a look at how our metaverse looks. So if we go into the VR, we're gonna start looking at, it looks like there's nothing there. And every once in a while, there's like this orange thing that pops in and I have no idea what it is, but what's going on? Well, what happens is that there's two eyes. We're simulating that there's two eyes, and we can choose which type of headset we want to actually interact with. So we could choose Oculus right here, and we can move around our head as if the user is actually looking inside the metaverse. And there's our figure that we created. So we're actually literally walking within the metaverse as if we were wearing our headsets in virtual reality. There's our cylinders that are rotating, and we can actually move on. Notice, we're in the middle of the metaverse that we created. We're in the space of the metaverse, right? We have a plane. We can move the headsets around. We can go further. We can go back. We can do whatever we want because we can move as if we were literally in the metaverse wearing headsets. We can look at it, we can rotate things, and you even have the option to select a button as if you had a controller, because Oculus, you have handsets. So if you had a controller, you could actually move it around and you'd have the functionality as if you had the hand controllers for the Oculus. Now, we have not added any functionality with the metaverse we built, so you're not going to be able to see anything different, but it's there. And if you want to actually simulate being in virtual reality, you can even choose different headsets. So here's the Oculus Quest, and notice it has two hand controllers, right? So if you actually build functionality using both controllers, you could use them here. We can actually move the metaverse around. The user gets further, the user gets back, and we can even go outside the metaverse. And as you can see right now, we can't see anything because we have this massive NFT we created, that big green NFT we created. It's right there on the outside. It all looks green because you have a huge NFT covering our view, but we hadn't seen that before because we were not at that place in space. You see? So right now, because we've moved back and we have this massive NFT in our space, we can't really see it. And it's all happening in 3D in the metaverse we've created. So we can actually move further behind and we actually look even further. We can even go down. We can look at our metaverse from underneath. And as you're seeing, we're looking at our metaverse from below. This is a completely different place from looking at our metaverse, but we can move around in space. So we changed where the camera, or in this case, our headset is looking at. We're below the metaverse and we're looking at it from below. Now, if I just go and I refresh that page and I'm in the same place, and I can just move like this, and we were looking at it from below from here. This is your world. You can do whatever you want. And whenever we click on Enter VR, we can simulate that we're interacting with the metaverse you created as if you were actually standing inside the metaverse wearing headsets and interacting in virtual reality.